Hey guys, Aaron Wilson at Nissan Stadium, the site of the Texans' dramatic comeback victory over the Tennessee Titans. And the way they did this game, obviously a bad start, some disappointing moments to let a one victory Titans team hang in there. But that's been the story of the Texans. Sometimes they play down to their competition. I thought that was the case today. But what matters is they got the victory. They took care of business when it counted, with some very clutch moments, engineered by backup quarterback Davis Money Mills. Saves the day again. A great drive after the defense faltered for really the first time in the whole afternoon, letting Cam Ward lead a touchdown drive and a touchdown pass to Van Jefferson, capping that. And so they play for the tie, thinking about overtime likely, or getting a stop. But the Texans wouldn't be stopped. And no play more clutch than 3rd and 16. Sideline pass, Davis Mills on the money, Money Mills to Nico Collins, toe tap, get him in bounds, and then Dalton Schultz, and then some Woody Marks runs, and a last-second field goal by Matthew Wright. They needed everything they had. They needed Will Anderson Jr., his sack, his forced fumble and fumble recovery. Second time this season he's done that. His 5th consecutive game with 5 sacks. So 5th consecutive game with at least 1 sack. So 5 games in a row that Will Anderson Jr., NFL Defensive Player of the Year candidate for my money, has done that. So yes, a slow start, and it was a tough watch. You know, I gotta be honest, being in the press box and seeing what they were doing, it wasn't as dramatic as last week, but nonetheless, a critical, pivotal victory for the Texans because they're now 5-5. This is the 3rd time they've been up to plate. They had a chance to be 5-5, rather to be 500 when they played the Denver Broncos and they lost. When they played the Seattle Seahawks and they lost. But this time against a team that's going to likely have the top pick again, and maybe they get another player like Cam Ward, they took care of business. And that's a sign of a team that's going to compete. We don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. We don't know yet if they're going to qualify. You know, the Jaguars are 6-4. The Texans have to continue to win. They have to beat the Buffalo Bills on Thursday night, a game that they won't be probably favored to win, regardless of whether it's Davis Mills or C.J. Stroud. But this is a comeback win. They put themselves in a hole, but a great 2-minute drill, and they finished. And the calm demeanor of Davis Mills is really invaluable in these sort of situations. And I think it's galvanized his teammates. They bring it up a lot in the locker room, and you hear DeMeco Ryans even talking about how Davis Mills calms him down in those tense moments. He's a man of emotion just like everybody. And so even coaches sometimes get a little emotional about games like this one. So, yeah, when I look at kind of where the Texans stand and thinking about everything that they're involved in, this is a big, big game. Sorry, just centering the camera a little bit here. And you see what they're capable of, that they can overcome these slow starts. And yes, there were some bad plays. There were red zone issues. There was the Titus Howard holding penalty. That pushed them back. The failed 4th and goal blitz pickup by Woody Marks as Davis Mills is sacked, and they end the possession with no points. So bad red zone play. Another holding penalty in the next drive. Another sack takes them out of field goal range. And Matthew Wright even missed a field goal, doinked it off of the right upright. But he also made 3 field goals. And for someone that just got here, that's just become a part of this operation, joining the Texans special teams, stepping in for an injured Kaimi Fairburn, he was very good for the 2nd week in a row. So that's what you hope for. No more big-time performer than Nico Collins. Nico Collins, 1 week after 7 catches, 136 yards on a career-high 15 targets. Today, gets in the end zone. Touchdown for Nico, and he has catches of 18 and 14 yards on the first drive of the half. Then he has the 3-yard touchdown, and then, of course, the huge 17-yard catch to convert on 3rd and 16 to keep that drive alive. No bigger play. And when they're going to, try to win the game, they're going to go to Nico. He's going to be targeted. And for the most time, he's going to come down with the football. Contested catches, his bag for sure. And it showed why he's been a Pro Bowl receiver, why he's a $75 million man for the Texans. So from Davis Mills, as he said, it's incredible having someone like Nico on the team, extremely reliable. He will make the big plays that need to be made. And in talking with Nico after the game, a lot of praise. Mutual admiration society, right, between those two guys, former third-round draft picks from Nick Caserio in the 2021 draft, when Nick drafted very well there in that round to have a good backup quarterback like Davis Mills and a, number one wide receiver like Nico Collins. So, you look at this performance. I mean, it's definitely not one to mint and, hang up in the mantle place, but it's still an important game. If they don't win this game, basically their season, it's over. They're on the brink here. This is a non-negotiable. They had to win this game, and they do. So they didn't score in the first half. There were too many sacks. There were some problems. But overall, Davis Mills, pretty sharp. Last week, passed over 292 yards. Has that one interception. Today, no interceptions. Touchdown pass, 26 of 41, 274 yards. They went again with Woody Marks, which I know a lot of people wanted to see. And, there weren't a lot of yards to be had. They're pretty stout. They have Jeffrey Simmons. They have Arden Key. They have Tavondre Sweat. They are tough to run on until late on the final drive, and he finishes with 44 rushing yards. He only averaged 2.4 yards per carry. It was tough to run. It was tough sledding. Nick Chubb, 17 yards and 3 carries. Maybe you should have used Chubb a little more. I think they kind of maybe have given up on him a little too much. Let him play a little bit. He can still help. Thought they got really good play by Nico Collins, of course, but also the rookie wide receiver, Jaden Higgins, one of his better football games of the season. Good performance, 4 catches, 55 yards. Most of the catches were important, significant catches, very impressive ones for first downs. And this is kind of what the Texans had hoped for when they drafted him in the second round at 34th overall out of Iowa State. Offensive line, not great. Obviously, they had to shuffle the line again because Ed Ingram's sprained knee, and he wore that huge knee brace. And we were talking about that. Maybe he can't go. So he couldn't go, so they kicked Titus Howard inside to right guard from right tackle. Trent Brown, after a solid game, 6'8", 380-pound, Trent Brown, former Pro Bowl selection, moves in at right tackle again, and they use the jumbo package with Blake Fisher, not with as much success. So Davis Mills was sacked 4 times, but there were some times where Davis, I thought, held the ball too long. On the left side, Jared Patterson was holding his own. I thought Ariante Ursary had some tough moments. He wasn't very happy with himself. He thought this was not a very good game by Tay. That was his evaluation. Defensive line, very solid. 1.5 sacks for Daniel Hunter. He's got 8.5 sacks for the season. And Will Anderson Jr.'s got 8 sacks. So these guys combined for 16.5 sacks with a lot of football left. And Tommy Togiai gets a half sack as well. So they're in the top 10 in the sack totals. Just an outstanding tandem. Who would want to play against these guys? I mean, that's just rough. Imagine that, having to play football against them. So going to the locker room, talking to Cade Stover, his first football game of the year. He was happy to contribute just to get back on the field. He's missed a lot of time. He broke his foot. He makes a difference. He's a good blocker. At linebacker, I did see some missed tackles. I saw Cam Ward juke Azeez Al-Shire, but he played well overall. There was a big pass deflection by E.J. Speed at the line of scrimmage. Overall, the Titans running backs were not very good. Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, who are talented guys, but only had 25 yards on 14 carries. They missed Jalen Petrie. I repeat, they missed Jalen Petrie at nickel, and they missed M.J. Stewart at safety. They were picking on Miles Bryant early in the game. There were some wide open plays the Titans did not convert, but there were some openings there against Miles. I thought Jalen Mills was holding up a little bit better, but overall, Derek Stingley Jr. and Kamar Lassiter played well until the last drive when Stingley gets this critical defensive pass interference penalty, and Kamar Lassiter gives up a 39-yard one. I thought maybe there was some kind of bunch route. I wonder what defense they were in. Did not get a chance to talk to Kamari about it, but they get paid too. And Cam Ward was the first overall pick of the draft for a reason. Special teams, Matt Wright 3 for 4, makes the game winner. Tommy Townsend 4 of 5 punts inside the 20-yard line. Wins, not a lot of style points. I've never heard of style points in a win. So they got the win. They shouldn't apologize for it. They don't need to, but they got to keep winning. And this will be the big story of the week, obviously. Does C.J. Stroud play? I think it's going to be tough with it being a Thursday game, so I would caution against anybody assuming that he's going to play. I know he's feeling better. I had a chance to, it was an interview, but just to talk to him a little bit informally late last week and visit with him a little bit, wish him well. And he is improving. He's making some progress. He has dealt with Per sources, a sensitivity to light, but that is over. He's had headaches. So he's had some issues with that. We haven't heard anything on Jalen Petrie, whether he's going to be able to come back. So he may not be back. And Fairburn on a short week, I got to think they're going to stick with Matt Wright. So again, they will be shorthanded against the very talented Buffalo Bills, but the Bills did lose to the Dolphins, and we're hearing a lot about that all week when you think about the competitiveness against the Texans. So Buffalo, Houston, we'll have a lot of time to get into that before this kickoff on Thursday, but love to talk again about the clutch play. 3rd and 16, Texans are at their 42-yard line. It's dotted at 13 all. So there's 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It's all tied, and it's 3rd and long after the Titans drove 95 yards for the score. So then Davis, he connects with Nico Collins there on the right sideline, gets his feet in bounds. They get the first down, and then 4 plays later, the Matt Wright field goal. So no bigger play than that. And if they don't convert, the Titans get the ball back with about 40 seconds left, all 3 timeouts, and they just had the momentum because of the drive that they had. So that would have been very bad. I'd like to talk more about Will Anderson Jr., just a special player, someone that you talk about elite, and you talk about what's good about the Texans. It's Will Anderson Jr., it's Danielle Hunter, it's the tandem, but Anderson, especially as young as he is, as advanced as he is as a pass rusher, his repertoire of moves, that's improved. His run stuffing, underrated aspect of his game as an edge setter, just a dominant player that loves the game. Everything that he's about is what you want to have on your football team, and just a tough guy. And, as D'Amico Ryan said quite accurately, dynamic playmaker, and that's what they need in the game. Players that make plays, playmakers that show up, and he's one of those guys. To me, he's the preeminent guy that will make the play. And so that forced fumble, the fumble recovery, and getting the sack, that's big time. So, he's got the longest active sack streak in the NFL. Only 4 other Texans, he's in some great company, J.J. Watt, Mario Williams, Jadeveon Clowney, and Brooks Reed, good football player too, have ever had a sack in 5 consecutive games. So the Texans have the top-ranked defense. They lead the NFL in points, fewest points allowed, and yards allowed per game. So just a very strong team. And they sweep the Titans because of the defense. And they've just allowed, in the past 2 games, 404 yards of total offense and 229 yards today. That's great defense. Yes, there was the lapse. Yes, they were 3 for 3 on 3rd downs in that final possession after being 3 for 12 previously. But overall, the Texans get it done. And I think, you think about the way that you talk about complementary football, you talk about how the defense complements the offense. They really do. They're the straw that stirs the drink for the Texans. And the Texans, they're a legitimate playoff contender at 5-5. They're in the mix. We're going to see if they can get it all the way done, if they can finish, if they can get to a point where they are going to make some noise, make a playoff run. And we don't know that yet, but there are some tougher games ahead on the schedule, obviously, than the Tennessee Titans. So I just want to keep the big picture, balance, and knowing that the Texans, obviously, they got to beat teams like Buffalo. They got to beat teams like the Colts, like the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chargers. And it's going to take a lot of wins. I think to be sure of the playoffs, they need to get to 10 wins, and they got 7 to play. So they got to go 5-2 the rest of the way. We'll see if they can get that done. But they are definitely playing some better football now. They are in a better position, and they're trying to salvage the season. I think, looking at kind of, some things that are going on with the team, obviously they need to get healthier. Yes, C.J. Stroud should still be the starting quarterback. I know that some people, might feel differently. I don't think there's any question. And, when his brain feels better, when he's 100%, get him back out there. But Davis Mills, this is why you pay backup quarterbacks. This is what happens with the 49ers, with Mac Jones. Now Brock Purdy's back, but this is what it's, the way you should do things. Dalton Schultz, playing with a shoulder injury, was in pain again. 6 catches, 51 yards on 9 targets. So again, doing a good job. Xavier Hutchinson, 3 catches for 42 yards. Jalen Noel, they weren't able to get him as involved in the passing game. Did do some good things at times on returns. Had that 23-yard return. That was great to see that from him. And kickoff returns too. So he was in more of a special teams role, averaging 25.5 yards on kick returns, 7.6 on punt returns. And of course, we talked about Matt Wright and Tommy Townsend. Very good placement of his punts, averaging 41.6 yards, but only just one touchback. So doing a good job in that area. Defense, yeah, they pick on Miles Bryant. Didn't play as well as I thought he would, but that's the reason why he wasn't a starter. He's a backup. He's up to the 53 from the practice squad. Not a big day for Kalen Bullock. And just overall, they needed to make a few more plays. But it wasn't like the defense played badly. They just didn't have a great day. I still think down the road, Cam Ward is going to be a legit quarterback. I like a lot of things about him, especially his ability to ad-lib, throw on the move, his confidence, and he can run. And overall, he's a local guy too. He's got a great future. So yeah, seeing some good things from him, and we'll see how it goes. But for now, the Texans very much alive in the AFC wildcard playoff hunt, and we'll see where they wind up. We don't know. We don't know the ending to this story. We don't know the final chapter, the obit on this season, and it feels like there's a lot more football to be played. But I think at least they can feel a little bit better about this season. I think they do, from talking to the guys, from talking in the locker room. Please check out the other video I posted, which is Locker Room Reaction. A lot of great sound from there. Of course, I'm on Sports Sunday tonight at KPRC 2 and at www.click2houston.com. I'll be writing a lot of articles to react to this game, including Nico Collins, Will Anderson Jr., Davis Mills, Matt Wright, and more. So please keep it locked there. And guys, thank you for helping this channel. We're not just at 20,000, we're at 20,300 plus. So thanks for helping me to grow the channel and to bring you coverage like this from the road. It means a lot to me, so I greatly appreciate it. And I'm excited, and we'll just keep on going. This is just the start. This is just 13 months in, so it's continuing to be a vital channel, a vibrant channel, and I appreciate everybody that's supporting the channel and that gives me their time and their support. So it means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Of course, I'm also on Twitter at AaronWilson_NFL, Instagram AaronWilson7128, and of course at www.click2houston.com, which is free of charge, no subscription costs. Guys, thanks so much. I got to get to the airport and fly home and then do it again tomorrow from NRG Stadium. Thanks and good night.